how Donald Trump's making it harder for the Republicans in these midterms. Here we are, 500 days after Trump first unleashed those tariffs. It was a widely panned announcement, later ruled illegal. I'll get into that. But we're also 185 days after the Republican-filled Supreme Court knocked down the tariffs as illegal. And yet Trump is now reviving the tariff clash against our ally and trading partner Canada after losing even more GOP support over the months and now over a year that we've been in this. Now, Rupert Murdoch runs the famously conservative media empire, which generally supports Republicans. But also today, his Wall Street Journal says it's the dumbest trade war revisited. Well, here's how it sounds on Fox.
I think right now it's a coin flip right now as it relates to the House. I'm not saying the Republicans aren't trying, but I don't see the energy with the Republicans right now. Everything is going to be about the pocketbook in this election.
Well, if people vote their pocketbook this election, they may be voting against the MAGA tech titans pushing these data centers, unpopular job losses. That's a major midterm issue, as the Times put it today. They may be voting their pocketbook and against high gas prices and its cause, Trump's Iran war, which many Republicans know already has them facing these headwinds. And they're angry that Trump, who knows his tariffs are unpopular, is still reviving this now, regardless of how much it already failed. Remember, the economic jitters over the tariffs were originally one of the first ruptures among Trump's digital base.
Trump has put his tariffs all over the place. I've been trying to understand them. I don't. I'm down $7 million in stocks and crypto.
I don't know how many of you guys are invested in crypto or stocks. What the is going on with our country? Guys, why am I poor?
His giant tariff policy that he just dropped on the market unilaterally, probably unconstitutionally.
The system is rigged. Kids feel like there are no options other than to burn it down.
Now, those podcasters aren't the Wall Street Journal, and the Journal's not exactly Walter Cronkite. But politically, there's kind of a faint echo here of Trump losing the air cover he needs while losing a war abroad, just as Cronkite famously channeled that national consensus against Vietnam.
It seems now more certain than ever that the bloody experience of Vietnam is to end in a stalemate. But it is increasingly clear to this reporter that the only rational way out then will be to negotiate, not as victors, but as an honorable people who lived up to their pledge to defend democracy and did the best they could.
Historians state that after that broadcast, LBJ privately told aides if he'd lost Cronkite, he'd lost Middle America. Well, if Trump has lost the Wall Street Journal and former Fox host Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and a host of podcasters, whether they're Cronkite or not, he is losing a lot of America. His candidate's losing in more of these primaries we've been covering. And he already lost the rest of the nation, as the polls show, the approval cratering. Trump underwater in 47 of 50 states now. In other words, you could plan a trip to just about any state in the U.S., north, south, and most people in that state would say they oppose Trump, this second-term version of Trump, even if they voted for him before. That includes states that he previously won easily, like Texas. Was supposed to be a safe seat for the Republican Senate. Now it's a dead heat, which is why Dems may have a shot of taking back the Senate, as the Times reports. That's the national data. Trump's governing response has been, as I told you, reviving the trade war. And his political response, I can tell you today, is to post online complaining that because he's trailing in the polls, he doesn't believe them. There's a lot of news tonight, including other legal news we're going to get to. But we start with what Republicans see as the main story, their crumbling hopes to hold the House. And we're joined by Kurt Andersen, a veteran journalist who created legendary spy magazine, Tangled with Donald Trump, the best-selling author of several books. He has a new novel called The Breakup, which we will get to. But we start with all the news. Welcome back.
Happy to be here.
You look at the way Trump's acting, talking, and governing, it doesn't even have the appearance of trying to necessarily help Republicans.
No, he's acting entirely on Trump impulse. There is the lack of political appeal to anyone but his hardest core. I don't know, what is that, 20%, 15%? Is amazing. And he's not helping Republicans running for Congress. It's nuts. And, you know, in their heart of hearts and privately, many of these elected Republicans have always said, "Oh, he's difficult." They must be saying now, this is a real problem, and want to be rid of him, but they're not going to be rid of him between now and November, obviously.
And apparently they're not going to be rid of the trade war and the economic headwinds. Here's how some of the guests on Fox Business, which has a little more of what we might call reality or gravity to it, on this. Take a listen.
Yep.
Probably the pain is not worth the gain. And, I've been a bit of a skeptic on the tariff front with respect to the Trump strategy.
So remember, tariff is another word for tax. And putting taxes on products means there's less economic activity, period. Republicans should know that.
Do I think now is a good time to fight a trade war with Canada? Probably not.
No, I mean, finance and economics do keep you untethered to reality, which is why Fox Business is tethered to reality. It can't just be, trying to please Donald Trump and his cult.
Yeah, it's really striking. I mentioned that we're tracking a lot of news today. That's sort of where the president's head is at because he's posting about it, and where we see coming out of the weekend some of the Murdoch empire has been. The other big legal news is this brand new from the Supreme Court late in the day. This is about this very infamous executive order. The Supreme Court basically clearing the way for Trump to make his move to try to restrict, or critics say distort, voting by mail. Now, we don't know how much of this order will be implemented. We are much closer to the midterms because it was originally stopped in the courts. A key part of Trump's order is also blocked from a separate ruling. If you're curious just how this thing went down, we do know that the 3 Democratic-appointed justices dissented, with Jackson warning the decision could needlessly inject uncertainty or even, quote, chaos into the upcoming midterm elections. This is that thing where this Supreme Court helps Trump even when he's on his way to losing.
Yes.
I will tell folks, again, we have to see what happens in government, but it's probably a little late for them to use this to completely upend how we vote in the midterms, right?
A little late? Early voting starts in a month.
Right. Well, you could be as strong as you want, and I try to be as fair as I can. But with that said, yes, go on with your view.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, our voting process these days, and of course Trump doesn't like early voting at all because it's small d Democratic, just like mail-in voting.